We say good morning to Alex Bruno on the line this morning on another Diaspora link on a Saturday morning. Alex, good morning.
Kim, good morning to you, and you continue to impress me and many with your professionalism, the way in which you do your program, the timely nature of your program. I mean, you were bang on time at 8 o'clock this morning, and this tells a lot for the professional approach that you put to your programming on D.B.S. on a Saturday morning.
I always remember you always saying time is very important.
Indeed. And you have not dropped a beat in terms of that. Thank you so much. And you sound lively as you always do, Kim. What's up with you this morning?
I had some coconut water.
That's it?
Yes,
That's it?
coconut water, and I'm good.
Okay, well, I must remember that, man.
You like some? Would you like some?
I must remember that.
You would like some coconut water?
Yes, a little bit of cocoa, please, if you don't mind.
I wonder if Paban would like some coconut water as well.
I suspect he would, but the fact is he's not on with us this morning.
Oh, okay.
I suspect he couldn't make it up this morning. So let's hope he wakes up in time to hear the tail end of our program.
All right, no problem. But Alex, another Diaspora link, and as always, you continue to highlight Dominicans overseas who are making their contribution and making a name for themselves. And this morning, it's no different this morning.
Yes, we've got another such individual, Jamo. We know him as he's from Kingsville, and he's basically going to be the one to tell us, about, well, not about him, but to discuss with us for the next 13 minutes about his work. And what our intention is, Kim, on the program, is to engender discussion and to allow new and fresh voices to surface. Too long we have been hearing the same set of people speaking every time, over and over again. So our quest, our thrust in this program is to bring out younger, middle-aged, and other voices from Dominicans who have resided overseas and who may not have been heard publicly before. So that we're trying to generate a new conversation so that the new generation of Dominicans can be excited. We're not saying that the old voices are not interesting and important, but it's time for a fresh set of voices.
That's right.
To take the conversation to a different dimension.
All right.
And this morning, Jamo has decided to be on with us, and he's in Minneapolis somewhere. I'm not too sure, but he will correct that in a little while. Jamo, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I cannot remember exactly where you are, but I know you're somewhere in the diaspora. You will correct that, set that clear, and tell us a little about you to start.
All right, so right now I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Honestly, never expected to be out this far. It's more like the Midwest of the United States, but that's where life took me. It was a long journey. As you said, I grew up in Kingsville, was born and raised there. Still have a lot of friends there, in the community. I went to St. Mary's Primary, St. Mary's Academy, CDCC, now called the State College.
Yes.
Typical upbringing as any, Dominican. I did the typical thing. Took a year between, doing my CDCC and going to university. I taught at SMA for that year. Then I went to Trinidad to pursue a degree in electrical and computer engineering. After that, I came back home and I actually got my first job, at the new state college, and I was a physics lecturer for about 2 semesters there.
Okay.
I enjoyed my job, and part of it for me, the joy was to just be able to give back immediately, to see people in seats that, I sat in myself, where I was inspired by, my own, local teachers, some of them who were still at the state college, and to be able to reconnect with the youth of Dominica. That was, a very a good part of my life, my life experience. Then I moved on to work for the NTRC for about 2 years before moving on to the U.S., where I started working the investment bank in IT. Yeah. So I did that for about 2.5 years before pursuing my master's in business administration at Carnegie Mellon University out in Pittsburgh. Again, some area I never really expected to be, because most people, when you talk about New York, America, you talk about either New York or Miami. So I never expected to end up in school in Pittsburgh. So I spent 2 years there, and now I've graduated. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, going to work for PricewaterhouseCoopers in the IT strategy practice, as a consultant to Fortune 500 companies. So,
man, that is really, really impressive. I know we had a little pre-interview, but I didn't realize that you had achieved that much. I'm coming from Dominica, and I'm venturing out, and you're one of the top operatives in the world, so to speak. Can I say that?
Well, right now, the kind of exposure that I'll be able to have, it's big in terms of, the kind of work that I'll be able to do, the kind of influence that I'll be able to have. Being a Dominican, my culture never leaves me, right? Even when I interned at my company, PwC, any conversation I have, it's a conversation starter, where's your accent from? And then I get to tell people about Dominica, the size of the island, what the culture is like, when is the best time to visit, that sort of thing. So, you take that essence with you wherever you go, even if you work and live in the States or wherever you live. That part of you, being a Dominican is always there, and there's always an opportunity to share more about your country and still have impact on the world overall. So,
Now, the trick is, you're Dominican, you're out there, you're working. Is there a time when you forget that Dominica exists, or do you always think of your native land and, let's say, your family while you are achieving? Just give us the mindset of a Dominican achiever based in the diaspora.
So Dominica is always on my mind. Sometimes it's more present than others. Even simple things, for instance, local cuisine is something that you may take for granted. But if I want to, let's say, have a meal that includes fish up here, the price compared to what I can get fresh off the boat in Dominica, it's a dramatic difference. It's so much more expensive, and you can't even trust the source, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that we get in Dominica in terms of just the food, the healthy diet, the clean air, fresh surroundings, and the opportunity to live a free life that we don't necessarily get the same thing being in the U.S. So even if you achieve, let's say, in America, there's still things like, racial tension, and discrimination that goes on. And, being someone from the Caribbean, and being from Dominica in particular, that's not something that we have to deal with, right? We're very free in our country, and, we may take that for granted. So, there's certain things that I definitely miss, the culture, the food, the music. I can't necessarily turn on, a U.S. radio station and hear Creole music. I miss that. That's why I guess it's important to, keep things like, music festival and independent celebrations, to keep those things going so that people can come back and, participate in their culture and heritage.
So these things actually mean a lot to a Dominican who basically resides overseas. The basic things like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the ability to get a fresh pound of fish by the bayside somewhere in Funkule or one of the fishing communities.
I'm telling you.
And to enjoy a little free up in a calm, fresh atmosphere.
Right, because up here, in America, the opportunities for professional development are there, right? So what you have is a lot more exposure. The kind of work that you can do is on a larger scale, let's say. So, for instance, me going into work, I can, go into a company that's worth, let's say, several $1 billion and be advising, the chief information officer, chief technology officer as to, their IT strategy to help the business grow and become more competitive, right? So the kind of impact that you can have, in terms of the business world in a professional sense in, a developed economy is much greater. But, there's still a compromise, right, in terms of, your day-to-day life. It's a lot more hectic. You have a lot more demands. Because you're doing important work and, there's a lot more at stake in terms of, just dollars, it can be a bit more demanding and more stressful. So you have to sort of balance that by, taking care of yourself, still eating all right, making sure you don't, eat too much of the processed stuff that's available, the fast food, and stay away from, some of the more, Americanized things, because they're not necessarily good for someone who grew up, eating fresh from, a country like Dominica. We eat fresh. We live, clean. So, you have to be mindful of those things as well.
Talking about that, we seem to be staring down a dangerous precipice in terms of our eating habits in Dominica, because the PAO official Dominican Dr. Etienne made some statements just this week that we're on the, I think she described the state of non-communicable diseases in Dominica as a volcano waiting to erupt, because based on what she saw, so what you're saying really falls in line with what the wonderful Dominican professional uttered just this week, because I think we are moving away from the eating habits that we grew up with in Dominica, and we are quickly hugging what we see on TV, I would imagine. Any word of advice for the Dominicans, your brothers and sisters, as we enter this era?
Well, to that I would say, we need to appreciate what we have, and a lot of times, the grass looks greener on the other side, right? And we have to be mindful of the fact that companies in general, so for instance, companies that produce processed foods and so on, they have a marketing budget, right? And they have people basically, planning every day how to get the consumer to eat more of what they're trying to push. So, something may look appealing, and it's appealing because someone intended it to be that way. You understand where I'm coming from? So, things like, fast food, soda, whatever, there are people whose job is to convince other people to consume those things, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to be mindful that anything we watch on TV, whether it's ads, whether it's, banner ads on the internet, whatever, people are doing analysis every day to try to push certain products to you. So you have to be mindful that, you live in a world, you don't live in a vacuum. And any choice that you make affects your health and your well-being. So you have to be mindful of the fact that, something that's marketed to you is not necessarily good for you. And their job is to generate sales. Their job is not necessarily to protect your own health. That's your responsibility. So, you need to take that responsibility seriously.
And if there's to be a message this morning, I believe that's the message coming from the man Jamo. But I'm going to give you an opportunity,
Alex,
as we yes, Kim?
I was just about to ask him, given with all his accomplishments and so on, and it seems like he still has a strong connection with Dominica back home, what would be his advice to young people, especially young men nowadays?
Well, to young men, especially Dominican men, I would say, keep an open mind and don't ever set any limits on yourself. The world tries to limit you, every day you get out and you try to make a difference. The world itself tries to limit you, so don't ever put any limits on yourselves. Don't be afraid to dream. And when I say dream, I mean dream big. Sometimes we tend to say that, dreams are for kids or so on, but, anyone can dream. A young man should be proud to dream of, things that he wants for his life, for his country, for his community. And then strive to make those dreams a reality. And it's only by trying that you really figure out, how to get there. So, start with a dream first, dream big, and then, put one foot in front of the other and try to move in that direction. And, with faith in God, the rest will take care of itself.
That is solid. I mean, Kim, you couldn't have asked a better question. In fact, that's what I was going to do just as we got ready to end the program. This program will be repeated, or it will be posted on our Facebook page as Diaspora Link, so people could listen to this program over and within the next 5 minutes. Jamo, I want to thank you for being on with us as our guest. I know we've had a couple of your friends on in the past, and we're going to have Dr. Tamara Augustine, on next week. I believe you're acquainted with this young lady also?
Yes, indeed.
All right. And then following her, we have Patrick Alexander, who I was told you're acquainted with also.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I know more.
And then we have Abdullah on August 1, on August 8th, Gifters John and Swinging Janice on August 15th. So a wonderful line of Dominican professionals and friends based overseas. Jamo, thank you for your time. We wish you well. I guess you wish to say hi to your family back home if you had the chance to. I will give that to you now.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'd just like to say, greetings to all my friends and family, the community of Kingsville, and everyone trying to make a difference in Dominic to, keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks again. And this has been our program Diaspora Link for today, July 11th. Kim, thank you for chiming in and for your professionalism and your love as always.
Thank you so much, Alex, and you have a wonderful weekend, and Mr. Benoit as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right, then. Diaspora Link brought to you through the kind compliments of Bullseye.